are the champion, the one that holds the line and finishes the mission. Everything that you want is within your grasp. You wake up in the morning ready to dominate the day, and every step taken is with purpose and integrity, because you were not put on this planet to live a mediocre existence. You are here to conquer and make the biggest impact possible, not only for yourself, but for your family and for your tribe. This world is a battlefield, and we will be victorious. This is the Norse Mentality.
You're going to experience negative emotions throughout life. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. Everyone goes through it as well. But what we don't need to do is try to distract ourselves, numb ourselves, and all these different things to avoid feeling it. But that's what we do. We either distract ourselves through social media, television, we consume alcohol, we take in drugs, we try to get prescribed pain medications and SRIs that just pretty much numb us to existence as a whole, just because we don't feel like dealing with it. When in reality, what we're trying to avoid is exactly what we need to experience in order to evolve. And the more that we just lean into it, allow it to run its course, the quicker it's going to go away. But it doesn't whenever we force ourselves to block it out entirely.
I think that is, a big problem that collectively the human population is facing. We've kind of geared ourselves into, short-term gratification and how fast can I, or what can I do to get rid of this the fastest? When in reality, if you are going through something, it's not blocking it out. It's not distracting yourself. It's not, doing all these things to not face the problem. You face the problem, you learn how to deal with it, you learn, how it's making you feel, and you're getting past it without dragging it out and making this a longer process than it needs to be.
Exactly. And there's multiple things that we can tackle there. The first reason that we just try to avoid it at all costs is because we try to avoid discomfort at all costs. We live in the age of comfort. That's evident when we look around. And when we start feeling these emotions that we don't want to feel, we'll do whatever we need to do, even if it's consuming really shit quality food or, like I said, distracting ourselves, grabbing that bottle of liquor. It's just so we don't have to feel uncomfortable. That is a weak way of living. It is a coward approach to life, when in all reality, these emotions that we are feeling are extremely powerful. And if you can look at it from that perspective, it's that alone can help you. Because imagine a world where we were just happy all the time. It sounds great, but there's also something beautiful about those other ones as well. Depression, anger, the list goes on. Anxiety. Anxiety is actually, there's nothing really great about that. But either way, there is something that they serve. There's a purpose to it all. And whenever we can just kind of take a step back and look at it like that, okay, like I'm feeling this. This is overwhelming. Why is that a bad thing? Because we allow our mind to place it, to label it as a bad thing. But if you never experienced severe depression, then what would you have it to compare it to as far as happiness is concerned? Whenever you've been at the bottom and then you get back up to the top is a lot better because of what you just went through. Whenever you've experienced anger, then you just experience absolute joy and no anger at all. It's the comparisons there. It's light and darkness. That's how everything operates. But we only want to be on one side of this. We don't want to deal with the other side of reality, which is things are going to happen that upset us. That doesn't mean that we avoid it. It means that we work through it. But really, the best way to work through it is by not doing anything. And that's a weird concept because we want to take action, right? Like we always want to take action to fix things. And the way that we fix things nowadays, though, is not what's actually helping. Whenever you are just sitting with it, whenever you are just allowing this emotion to run through you, to do its thing, and then exit, that is how you're dealing with it.
Emotion is a beautiful thing. And I think the perspective shift here is what's causing, or a big part of what's causing the issue. It's, we've kind of forgot that having emotion is normal human behavior. And now we kind of think that, I shouldn't be feeling negative emotions. I should only feel the positive ones. So what can I do to not feel the negative? Because negative is bad. I shouldn't feel that way. But it's shifting your perspective and learning how to separate the situation from, letting the emotion consume you versus acknowledging the emotion and what it actually is.
We absolutely try to pretend that we shouldn't feel bad. And that's because when you look all over social media, you come face to face with people and they're putting on a fake front. You watch movies. Everything that we're being fed wants you to believe that if you're feeling like this, that there's something wrong with you. Our government, our healthcare system, everything else has had some sort to do with that as well, because they want you to take the pharmaceutical drugs. They want you to eat the shit quality food for comfort. They want you to do all of these things that make you weak, and they're never going to promote something that actually makes you stronger. When dealing with your shit without the use of outside factors is what's making you stronger, because once you deal with it, you now have those tools for your arsenal. And then next time it happens, you're better equipped for it. That's why we go through these type of situations, is because it is equipping us for the future. Then once we tackle that, we can move on to the next. And it's going to be a cycle. Life is a cycle of ups and down, ups and down. But what we need to keep in mind here is that it will pass. No storm lasts forever. But in the moment, it seems like it's never ending. And we've all experienced that. Probably the most common is depression. Depression can linger for years until finally you're able to crawl out of that hell and you see the light again. You're like, oh shit, I forgot that I could feel this way. But you can, and you have in the past. And then once you get to the other side of it, you now have that perspective available. Okay, I know what it's like to be severely depressed. I know what it's like to have extremely bad anger problems. I know all of these different things, but I also know what it looks like over here. And having that perspective alone gives you confidence. It gives you confidence that you can overcome whatever you're dealing with at this moment. And that's what we need to keep in mind. It's going to pass. I just need to stick it out. No emotion stays the same. On a daily basis, I probably experience 30 different emotions. For example, 15 minutes ago, I was just extremely irritated. I breathed. I didn't attach any mental dialogue to it, and that's something that we need to address as well. I just let it pass, and now I'm good. Now I'm recording this podcast episode. The rest of my day is going to be great as well, but it's whenever we attach thoughts to it, and we just allow it to play on repeat in our mind, and that just makes it worse and worse and worse. Your thoughts feed your emotions feed your thoughts. They're not connected, but at the same time, they work together. And if you can stop those thoughts and just anchor yourself into right now, okay, yes, this happened 10 minutes ago, but if I anchor myself into this moment where everything is fine, and I just keep coming back to this moment, thoughts come up, back to this moment, thoughts come up, back to this moment, that is what allows it to go away. But it's whenever we attach our thoughts to it, that strengthens the negative emotion itself. And then we get stuck in this cycle. And that could last for days. I mean, it's a constant battle with yourself. I go through that all the time where I wake up and I'm just fucking mad. And then all day is just me trying to bring myself back. But the reason I put in that effort nonstop, even though it is absolutely exhausting, is because I know that the sooner that I can just work through it, let it run its course, I'm going to get back on track. And I will continue bringing myself back to the present moment, continue shutting off those thoughts. They pop in. I realize it. Nope, not fucking going, not doing that. And this is all day. But that's the thing, people don't want to do that work. It's much easier for them to reach for the bottle of whiskey, to go to the doctor, get prescribed all kinds of different medications, distract themselves, when in reality, they have to put the work of shutting the mind up, of not allowing yourself to fixate on something that already happened. How silly is it that we allow ourselves to be stuck in a negative place over something that happened in the past? It doesn't exist anymore. It only exists inside your mind, and your life is ticking away. We only have so much time here. It's the most precious thing, and we are wasting it on stupid shit. And that's really my main motivator there. I realize that I'm dying. We all are. Is this how I want to live? Do I want to live pissed off? Do I want to live in this negative state? Or do I want to try to bring myself back to the most positive state possible so I can experience everything that life has to offer with my time here before it's done? Hey guys, if you're enjoying the podcast and you want to represent Norse on a daily basis and let people know what you stand for, you can go to our website and check out the clothing collection. And if something catches your eye, use the code podcast15 to save 15% on your order.
It goes back to feeling the emotion, not letting it consume you and get into that, negative thought pattern to the point where you start tying what you're going through to your identity. You start telling yourself, it's not that you're going through a series of anxiety or depression. It's, I am an anxious person. I am depressed. You're starting to reinforce these emotions and thought patterns into your brain, which is becoming a part of your identity subconsciously.
And then people start wearing that as a badge of honor. How many people do you know it's like, oh, I'm just pissed off. That's just how I am. Usually men. Well, it's like, that's pathetic, dude. Why would you want to live like that? When in reality, what if we just didn't attach to anything? What if we were nothing? That way we have open range to feel whatever we need to feel, to experience life however life wants us to experience it. Labeling yourself anything, put yourself inside of a box. It feeds the ego to have some sort of recognition or whatever it is. But in all reality, what if you were just nothing? That allows you to be anything. It allows you to do anything. But you're exactly right. Whenever we start labeling ourselves as, I am an anxious person, I am an angry person, I am a depressed person, whatever it is, your mind goes, yeah, that's how I am. Okay, cool. Well, what do I need to do to keep this persona up? And then you stay stuck like that. And then you live 30 years of your life in a terrible place because of your own actions, because of the way that you talk to yourself. Your mind is just doing what you told it to. But we don't ever stop that from happening. We feed it. We feed it. We feed the emotions with negative thoughts. We feed our self-sabotaging identity with our thoughts. When in reality, none of it matters.
One of the biggest perspective shifts that I had, it wasn't dependent on the emotion. The emotion could be positive or negative, but I will catch myself in the moment and ask myself why I'm feeling this way. If it's a positive emotion, I still do it and figure out why am I feeling happy? What about what I'm doing is making me this way? Same thing with negative emotions. You do it with your negative emotions, you'll start figuring out your triggers very quickly.
It's adding tools to your arsenal.
Why am I feeling angry? Why am I feeling anxious? Why am I feeling this? And you'll the more you do it, the easier it is to pick up on. You'll be like, oh, well, that first time it might take a little bit to figure out why you're feeling angry about something. But over time, you'll be like, well, I know that I'm angry about something. why is this happening? And it comes pretty immediately over a period of time.
It's taking control of your situation instead of allowing the outside world to control it. And that's the number one goal with anything. We can never control the outside world. There's going to be triggers. There's going to be all of these different things. But what we do have control of is our internal state through repetition. By doing what you just said, it's recognizing, okay, this is what makes me happy. This is what pisses me off. This is what makes me feel anxious. And it's not avoiding those things. It's just having awareness of it in the first place. And once you have awareness of it, then it's easier to navigate moving forward. When it comes to self-improvement as a whole, everything boils down to awareness. The more awareness that you have of yourself and the world around you, the more that you're able to level up and the more that you're able to navigate this world in a much easier way. But that's a difficult issue to address because how do you raise awareness? It's not just like, oh, I read a book. It can help. But it's purposely going out of your way to try to be as consciously aware as possible every single day. And then over time, that grows and grows and grows. And that is why through self-improvement, your life starts to get easier. Yes, you're taking actions, removing self-destructive behaviors and stuff like that. But none of that is possible without awareness. And the more awareness that you have, the more things that you recognize, the more things that you can tackle, eliminate, and continue that process. But it's not removing the triggers. It's not trying to avoid the emotions. It's allowing things to be as they are. Does it suck? Absolutely. But who the fuck told you that life needs to be great and perfect and that you're supposed to be happy all the time? If someone told you that, they're lying to you. They're in denial themselves.
That is a great way to set yourself up for failure every day.
Every creature on this planet, I would assume, experiences some sort of emotion. My dog that is sitting right underneath this table right now, sometimes she is just happy as hell. Other times you can tell she's a little bit down. Animals know how to deal with this shit, but humans have forgotten. And it's because we figured out little ways to avoid it. Whereas in a dog's like, well, here it is. And then it's gone. Okay, cool, whatever. Because the mind. Ilva's not underneath the table right now thinking about anything that she feels. If it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. We need to take the same approach. We don't label it. We don't attach to it. We don't try to numb it out. We don't distract ourselves. We don't do all of these different things. We just allow it to be. And we push through it. If you want to be a strong individual, this is what makes you that. It's not going to the gym and lifting weights. Yes, that makes you physically strong. But it doesn't make you a strong person. Because people can go into the gym, blast a bunch of gear, run themselves into the ground with their workouts, and they will feel good for a minute. But then guess what? The same issue's back. Because they haven't addressed it. They haven't observed it yet. It's a matter of doing nothing. It's being nothing, doing nothing, and just letting life unfold how it's supposed to. Not avoiding it, not trying to attach yourself to anything. Just let it fucking be there. But that's the difficult part. Because we feel like we always have to be doing something. We feel like we have to be fixing this problem. We feel like we can't feel this way. We do this, we do that. Sometimes you just don't need to do a single fucking thing because the reason that you're in this particular situation is because of what you have done already. And that's everybody. It's me, you, everyone listening to this podcast. That's just how it is. And the reason that we get triggered and we have all these different emotions is because we haven't worked through our shit enough to not allow it to affect us like it does. And the reason for that is because we tried to avoid fixing it at all costs. We just want to numb it. We don't want to feel it. It's not going to go away in that sort of method.
It might go away consciously, but it's going to bury itself somewhere. It's going to present itself as some kind of irritable experience mentally. You're going to start feeling some psychosomatic physical issue. And I think a lot of people forget that Emotions are frequency based. They're an energy state. They're an energy level. If you suppress that and it gets buried somewhere in your body, it can manifest physically.
Yeah, a good book on that is Body Keeps the Score, if anyone wants to really dive into it. And it only blocks it out consciously for a short period of time. Then you go to sleep, you wake up, and guess what? It's still there because you haven't allowed it to run its course. It will run its course. It always does. Whatever you're dealing with right now is going to pass, but you have to allow it to pass. It might take a day. It might take 30 minutes. It might happen within a few seconds, or it might last for years, which is unfortunate. But that's just the fact of reality. It's here and you need to work through it. And working through it isn't necessarily doing anything. It's just letting it do its thing, sitting with it, observing it. And then eventually it will pass, like we've experienced so many times throughout our life. But we forget about that. We're like, oh, this is never going to end. Of course it's going to fucking end. It always ends. Thank you for listening to another episode of The Norse Mentality. This podcast is a byproduct of Norse Fitness. We make clothing, fitness accessories, supplements, and other tools to help you reach your true potential. If you're interested in grabbing something for yourself, you can go to norsefitness.co and use the code podcast15 to save 15% on your next order.